Alright, what's up, stream? I for the past 5 minutes thought that I was on YouTube, and I was not, in fact, streaming to YouTube. So, welcome to the stream, welcome to the video. Mainly a video, I imagine, for most people watching this. I am on the PTR for checking out Evoker here, checking out the new spec, Augmentation. They just announced this today. A lot of leaks have been coming out. It was pretty much just almost confirmed, other than officially. So I at least expected this. I know a few people, or quite a few people, thought it would be a tank spec, but that just there were a lot of statements from the devs that they didn't. The way, like, they always reference the wings, in fact, and they thought it would just be really weird to have somebody with wings in melee. It seems kind of like a silly. Like, I feel like they could have made a better argument. Regardless, I digress. So we're here on the PTR. I am, like many other people, gonna go through all of the spells and take a look at what they look like. So let's just dive right in. I was a little bit ahead of myself, so let's take a look. I'm gonna start off just in the spellbook here. There's a lot of people over at the test dummies, so I don't think it's the best place to be at the moment. I may find some targets in the real world just to get a not so much of a clustered view at the spell animations. But anyways, let's take a look here. So Black Attunement, I got like 3 spells in before I realized I wasn't streaming on YouTube. So I've read a couple of these. Black Attunement, it's just a buff. It looks like you cast it and shows active over here, of course. Just showing that it is active on you, and it gives you and your 4 nearest allies a 5% increase to maximum health. So yeah, that's nice, I guess. I can't complain. Maybe they expect us to be a little bit more in melee for this. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's interesting choice. Can't complain about it though. Blistering Scales though, however, this one is really interesting. So this is usually going to be on a tank in PvE situations. It provides an increase to armor based on your armor, right? 30% of your armor, and it works like Earth Shield from a shaman, right? Where I think they get like 10 or 15 stacks every time there's a melee hit. It takes one of them away, and then they get healed. So this functions really similar to that. You get 15 stacks, so we'll actually cast it on ourselves here. And you can take a look at the animation. It looks really cool. The spell effects are really nice. But you do end up with 15 stacks, and then each time you're hit, it will explode and do some damage to enemies near. So it's actually an AoE, it looks. So it reads as if it's an AoE. And it looks like there's an internal cooldown to this, so it may, if 5 mobs hit the tank all in like a 1-second period, it's not like 5 of these charges are going to go off, which, it's just for balancing purposes, and you'd be clicking this a lot. Well, it's got a 30-second cooldown anyways, but regardless, I digress. Let's move on. You can only put this on 1 target at a time, but a really cool thing that they took into consideration is that you are going to be, since you are a DPS spec, you will be casting on a target. And since you're not a healer, you may not have healing frames, and moving back and forth between actually DPSing and then trying to target somebody would be really annoying. So what they allow is, most often in PvE or even in PvP situations, right, the target that's being focused, you'll be able to still be looking at your target and cast this, and it will go onto their target, right? So anytime your tank is tanking everything, you can cast on whatever mob you're looking at, and it'll go onto your tank. So it's really nice. I imagine a lot of spells in here will probably have that function. That's a new function as far as I'm aware, and I think that's pretty great that they really thought ahead on this. Anyways, we'll move on. Breath of Eons. So I don't play Preservation. I'm not sure what the name of the other version of this, but for Devastation, it is Deep Breath, and it looks like this. It's pretty awesome. You can jump back, of course, same functionality, and we'll read. So you'll fly to a location, exposing wounds on your enemies. So it does maybe it makes them take more damage. I'm not really sure. Temporal wounds accumulate 21% of damage dealt by your allies affected by Ebb and Might. So we'll see that here in a second. Then critically strike for the amount as arcane damage. Okay, applies Ebb and Might for 5 seconds. So this will, man, that's weird. There's a lot going on. So this will apply Ebb and Might to your allies for 5 seconds, and then these temporal wounds, they last for 11.6 seconds, right? And so during those 2 different time frames there, because your friendlies are only going to have it for 5 seconds, but the wounds last for 11.6, right? And of course you can keep Ebb and Might up on target as well, but it just ends up doing damage. It's kind of how you do damage, but you're buffing your friends, allowing them, what I'm assuming, to do more damage, and then later on that damage will accumulate and explode, or maybe it ticks over time. We'll test it out to see, but that's really cool. Let's move on. Bronze attunement. Attune to bronze magic, granting you and your 4 nearest allies 10% increased movement speed. Okay, interesting. Okay, let me move this buff down here because that's actually going to be super relevant. So it looks like you'll be bouncing between a few of these attunements. It looks like maybe just 2. Yeah, so you only get 2 attunements. One of them will give you and 4 nearest allies increased health, but this one will actually give you increased speed. So if you're just in a situation where you need more speed, you can pop this buff. It's permanent. You're just an awesome guy to have around. And on the other side, if you're not needing to worry about movement too much, you can just add some health. That's a super awesome. I like the idea of gameplay here. It creates choice, but it doesn't. It's not really rotational. It just kind of make a choice, and move on. Interesting. Ebb and Might. So we read about that here on Breath of Eons. This is applied by Breath of Eons. Increase your 4 nearest allies' primary stat by 14% of your own. And it does show you what your current primary stat is at. And cause your eruption to deal 28% more damage for 11.6 seconds. Eruption. Is that... I'm not sure what okay. Eruption's another spell in here. We'll get to that. May only affect 4 allies at once and prefers to imbue damage dealers. So that's another great thing there, where you're not going to accidentally be buffing healers and tanks. It will prefer a damage dealer. That's just, it's good on them to think ahead on these things. They really just kind of reading through there. It looks like they're paying attention to the small details. Eruption, Breath of Eons, and your Empower spells extend the duration of these effects. So, interesting. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Maybe it's this. Let's move it to 5. Pretty important spell. Okay, not too crazy. Here in a second, it does. It looks like it maybe puts a little bit of a glow on you, on the target that actually has it. So I could put it on like a player, and it would give them a little glow. And so just to kind of, this will give them an increased stats. Actually, does this cast on me? Yeah, I wonder. We'll see here in 6 seconds. I'm gonna target this guy. I'm gonna see if it in fact casts onto them. Nope, it's just a cast on me. So you don't even need to worry about targeting someone. A lot of smart casts in this spec, which makes sense. It's what you'd want. Okay, I like it. And you can extend this duration. So you're going to want to track the buff from this. I guess it's gone already. How long does it last? 11 seconds? I don't see it. I don't see why. I don't know. Whatever. You can't extend this. This is going to be a lot of your gameplay, I imagine, keeping this buff up. On to Eruption. Cause a violent eruption beneath an enemy, dealing damage, volcanic damage, split between them and nearby allies. Increases the duration of your active Ebb and Might by 1 second. So this may end up being there's going to be choice there for sure. That's interesting. I wonder if that's our #1 AoE spell. I can't actually. I'm gonna need a target here. I'm gonna venture into the depths of this target dummy room. Raiders tanking. Gosh, so much going on. Please ignore these people. It's so loud too. I'm gonna turn that noise off. Okay, so we're taking a look at eruption on this target. Casting. Interesting. Okay, so it has like a little crawling animation, and if I cancel it, it just goes away. That's cool. And then once it gets to the target, it explodes. So that's really nice. It is an AoE. Man, there's so many specs like Ellie and a lot of others that would probably wish to have the functionality of this spell where like I'm looking at my target, I cast at them, but it does damage around them. But anyways, I digress. And this will extend the duration of your Ebonmite. So I'm gonna cast on myself here. I have 10 seconds, 9 seconds. And yeah, it does extend the duration of the buff as we cast. So that's nice, good to know. We still have this awesome effect from Blistering Scales on. Moving on, Prescience. I believe you would say this is Prescience. Prescience, probably Prescience. 12-second cooldown. It's an instant cast. Grant an ally the gift of Foresight, increasing their critical strike chance by 3%, and occasionally copying their damage and heals at 15% power for 23 seconds. So you would just affect the nearest ally within 25 yards, preferring damage dealers if you do not already have an allied target. Okay, so you may end up wanting to make this like a focus, like for raids especially, and even dungeons, a focus target macro. Somebody that is your top damage, somebody that's going to benefit from crit. It's only 3%, but it's still great. And perhaps even a healer. That's interesting. So oh wow, that's so crazy. So like in a damage burn phase, you could maintain this or try to keep this up on a damage dealer. I wonder how many of these can you put up. I'm gonna let's see. That's this spell. Let's move tip the skills. So can I like? Oh, I did cast it on him. I don't even see there. I don't see the buff. Can I put it on him? Yep, it's on him. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I have to take a look and see, but we can test it in a little bit. I'm curious if you can put this up on multiple people at once. It doesn't say that there's like a restriction to it. So I imagine this is something you're really gonna want to keep on cooldown, and during damage phases or where healing's not that important, you'll be focusing this on like healer or DPS players. But for high damage situations, you could actually throw this on a healer or two, and that could help. So I'm just curious how that plays. Interesting. Moving on, Upheaval. So this is our first Empower spell, it looks like. Gosh, I'm gonna run out of room for spells. I really don't use Tip the Scales unless it's in my Dragon Rage anyways. So for now, I'll drag that off. Upheaval. Okay. Yeah, that's tough. They've got so many spells. Gather earthen power beneath your enemy's feet and send them hurtling upwards, dealing damage to the target and nearby enemies. Increases the duration of your active Ebonmite effects by 3 seconds. Okay. I don't know if this is actually CC where like it actually does knock them up, but it's more of a cooldown. I like to keep them in my F keys. I'm just moving around to get the idea of functionality here. And that's Blistering Scales. People. Boom. Okay. So let's cast it. So that's 1, 2, and okay, cool. I won't cast it yet because of the cooldown, but notice 1, 2, 3, 4. So it just gets bigger and bigger. And I did read this one. It essentially just if you're in like a dungeon group, you may only let it get to like 3, right? You might. It's tough to say, but in a raid, you may just go ahead and pack them. Hit them all. Really nice. Just does damage, throws people in the air, and buffs or increases the duration of your ebb and might effects. So it's not too crazy of a spell, actually. Anyways, ebb and might and breath of eons are 40% more effective when not in range. Oh, okay, that's just scaling stuff. Defy fate. Fatal attacks are diverted into nearby timeline, preventing the damage and your death in this one. The release of temporal energy restores health to you and to 4 nearby allies over 9 seconds. Healing starts high and declines over time. May only occur once. So this is a cheat death. Fatal attacks. I assume this is a cheat death for you and not just anybody. It doesn't say allies. So it's essentially a cheat death. It's a 6-minute cooldown, and yeah, I guess it starts healing. I don't know. We'd have to we'll go get hit and see how that works. We'll let a mob attack us and try to kill us and see how it works. Here are our attunements that we spoke about. Just they're actually a passive. Essence burst, we're aware of that already. Okay, here's our mastery. Let's take a look at this. Casting an empower spell grants shifting sands to 2 allies, preferring damage dealers, increasing their versatility by 17.5% for 11 seconds. So that's great. The duration of shifting sands, breath of eons, and your other helpful auras are increased by 16%. So if duration, so your mastery actually increases the duration of your all of your buffs, and I'm assuming the buff that you give to people, this versatility buff, probably goes up too with your mastery. So that's really cool. Really cool. Let's see what Nourishing Sands is. When you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor, the cooldown of Emerald Blossom is refreshed, and your next Emerald Blossom within 23.2 seconds restores an additional 20% of your maximum of an additional 20% of maximum health to you. Whoa, that's crazy. And so they do want you to be healing some, it seems. Like, there's no way that you actually. This is crazy. This is like they're gonna end up adding more of these specs to the game with how this like just seems. Let's take a look at the stream real quick. All right, just make sure no one's chatting. And then finally, Sands of Time. It's another passive. Eruption increases the duration of your active ebb and might by 1 second. Your empower spells increases the duration by 3 seconds. Breath of Eons increases the duration of ebb and might by 5 seconds. And this effect can critically strike, increasing the duration of ebb and might by an additional 50%. So, woo! We have an interesting toolkit to work with here. We'll have 2. Yeah, we'll have 2, but granted, without looking yet at the talents here, we'll end up with 2 empowered spells. Rather upheaval here. I have to. What is this? I have to go here. Move that. This is my attunement. So slow. We've got an AoE. Just trying to get an idea of how I'd lay out my bars for the spec. I might do that. Yep. So we still fire breath. Do we have disintegrate? One of these spells that I read actually replaces disintegrate, and I'm not sure which one it is. But I don't see us having the spell disintegrate. Okay. Weird. I'm not sure where that read. So this is gonna be big brain, like, because there's not a play, like, this is a new play style. Your rotation is still gonna heavily, like, it's not entirely on your target, right? Like, get that up. Let me go ahead and buff this. pop my Ebonite, boost my friends. I'd want to maintain this on somebody at all times. Oh, wow. This is going to be a lot. This is going to be so interesting if I'm in an AoE situation. Okay, so this is your AoE. This is your AoE. I don't... Like, I almost feel like you're not even going to use it as your strikes unless it's incorporated into the talents, but... Let's not think about it too much. We'll have months to figure this out. So let's pop over and take a look at the talents. Okay, and so yeah, some of the spells I had did come from the talents because I went ahead and used the starter build. But let's just work our way down. We'll kind of go down the left side of the tree here, and then we'll come back down the right, and I'll touch on the middle. I might overlap in the middle at some. So Ebonite, this is just our buff that we put on people. Eruption, which is the AoE. Eruption deals more damage per enemy struck. Okay, nice. So yeah, more AoE. There's your interrupt or your self-heal. Devastation has the same thing. I don't know about preservation. Upheaval. Okay. So you actually do have to take Upheaval, this empowerment spell. You do have to choose that as a talent. You don't get a baseline. Just from the looks of it, this looks like an AoE side of the tree. I'm assuming this will be like either single target or like buff, right? Timelessness. So there's another spell that we didn't choose. Enchant an ally to appear out of sync with the normal flow of time. This reduces their threat generation by 30%. I don't know why you would use this. Enchant an ally to appear out of sync. It reduces their threat they generate. Maybe threat is going to become an issue. I know, like, maybe this is maybe they want a Devastation Evoker to always run with an Augmentation Evoker, because Devastation can, if you're not careful, which really you learn to play around it, but still there's situations where you will absolutely rip threat off of a tank, and most of us don't even have force set right now from the current tier, and that's just going to make it worse. No, we'll have augmentation for a little while during this tier. So all right, landslide causes enemies who are mid-air to be slammed to the ground, stunning them. That is insane. So upheaval does in fact lift the target up, right? So you would throw it up and then follow it up with that, and it would slam them down. And so they're rooted, they're stunned, and they got thrown up. That's such an interesting. That's like kind of like a PvP functionality. But I mean, not even. It has its place in Mythic Plus, even in dungeons, because it's a knock up into a stun. So you're getting two forms of CC there, and it's like it's prolonged. It lasts for a while, so that's nice. Eruption costs is reduced, and eruption. Oh, okay. Okay. So eruption. I'm gonna put this here because that's usually where I would. So eruption. Replaces disintegrate. Gotcha. So this is actually your essence spender. I wasn't paying attention to the fact that it costs essence. Good to know. Really cool. And this just makes it cost. So normally it would cost 3, but this allows it to cost just 2. Oh, it's already on PTR. What's up, Ayoro? Yes, this is on PTR. There's a lot of stuff that they released today, not just augmentation. I don't know if the new dungeon is out, but I know all like the warlock changes are out. I think like some of the paladin and mage changes that they have are out. But yeah, I'm all over this new spec. Moving down, blistering skills. So we covered that already. It's just a buff that you put on. I'm always speaking in regards of PvE. I don't really PvP, so you're always going to pretty much have this on your tank, and as long as you're targeting a target that is targeting your tank, you can cast it and it will go onto your tank. So really nice. We've got an option here. Upheaval cannot be interrupted and has an additional 10% chance to crit. Upheaval deals 50% increased damage to the primary target and launches them higher. Oh, that's cool. I feel like this is obviously for your PvP option, and then you're not as concerned, perhaps, with. I mean, I'm sure you can take this in PvP as well, but whatever. I digress. Blistering Scales has 5 more scales, and casting Eruption restores 1, and Eruption is again our replacement for Disintegrate. So that's interesting. It's interesting. You can kind of maintain that spell with it. I don't know how. Obviously, it's all going to come down to gameplay, but this seems kind of redundant. Like what? It saves you maybe a couple casts. The spell Blistering Scales is instant cast, so yeah, you're not even there's no cast time, so it's really just saving you a couple of GCDs is really all that does, which could be good over a long fight. When cast, Blistering Scales grants the target a shield, absorbs damage based on their missing health. Lower targets gain larger shield. Okay, that's nice. We'll take a look at this. Increases. Okay, yeah. This one's just general to all evokers. I thought I had water. Man, goodness. Tell you what, guys. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna run and grab a drink. Takes me not 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take me long at all. Window back over. Where were we? Essence Burst has a chance. That's another one that Devastation has. Okay, each time the Blistering Scales explodes, it deals 10% more damage. Stacking up 10 times. That's interesting. So especially for AoE, obviously as it's single target, but really in AoE, I would imagine that starts to ramp up. So, that's tough. That's really nice. And you may you can't change this talent in combat. Oh, I'm in combat? Why am I still in combat? Versatility increase. Looks like I'm dropping little orbs on the ground. Let me get away from them. Okay. Consuming Essence Burst grants you 5% intellect for 8 seconds, stacking up. That's just a nice little self buff. You'll probably if you can generate more Essence Burst, that's gonna be great. Essence abilities. Okay, and this is the first capstone, right? So this is the. Actually, let's look at this one first. We'll go down from here. So consuming Essence Burst grants you and then Essence abilities have a chance to form a mote of diverted time near you. Anyone who comes into contact with the mote gains 10 seconds of reduced cooldown to their major ability. Whoa. Okay, that's what I just picked up, I imagine, from somebody. Wow. Oh wow, this like changes the game with how this all is gonna. Like, some classes are gonna benefit from this so much. Like, it's really gonna be tough. Like, these dudes are probably immediately meta. Obviously, like it's like every single group needs one of these, right? And like, it's very unfair. But I imagine as time goes on, like shamans, this just screams shamans. Like, shamans should, if they don't have a, like, if they don't make a new spec for them, they absolutely need to start adding maybe some of these abilities into some of the hybrids. Like, I don't see a mage needing to buff his teammates, right? Like, he's pure raw damage. But something like an enhancement shaman or an Ellie shaman, like, especially enhancement with Wind Fury, like, they already do that, right? And Wind Fury brings so much to the table. So it's just interesting if they're maybe they're gonna have to add other specs to the game, because if they that are support roles, because if they don't, like, every single group ever is gonna want to have one of these, based on balancing always. But this is just insane. Let's take a look. Let's move over. Fire Breath grants the Inferno's blessing for 9.3 seconds to you and your allies affected by Ebonite, giving their damage, attacks, and spells a high chance to deal. Okay, so as long as you have Ebonite up and you use Fire Breath here, then it's just gonna buff you and your friends to do more damage. Cool, nice, pretty straightforward. Next capstone, I believe I'm using that term right. I don't want to be throwing that way. I thought that capstones are at the bottom. Maybe I'm wrong, because these are just choice nodes, like these. Yeah, your empower spells maximum levels increased and they reach maximum power. Okay, so that's not. Yeah, these probably aren't going to be. Breath of Eons casts an eruption at the first 3 enemies struck. Oh, that's actually really nice. This is kind of meh, but whatever. Like, it's not bad, but it's meh. We'll see. Like, I can't, again, I don't want to say it's meh, but it's not interesting, rather. Time skip, surge forward, causing your spells to cool down 1,000% faster for 2 seconds. Let's try that out. Like, well, I'm not in combat. Man, it's probably because I buffed somebody and that person is still in combat, so let's just really get away. They need a button that you can click that's like, yo, I know people would abuse it, but it's like, why do I have to fly a million miles away to, like, get out of combat? I'm gonna have to log out. It's probably just a PTR bug. Give me a second, let's log out, and then just so I'm able to use these spells, or swap my talents around, rather. Whew. Loving it so far. This is a really, really interesting spec. Like, my brain wants to try to, like, start to break it apart and pick it apart and understand it. Like, most DPS specs, when I go to play them, like, the design intent is pretty clear. I may not be playing them optimally, but I can get the idea of, like, okay, this is my builder, this is what I'm gonna, my rotational, this is, keep this on cooldown, etc. But some of these are just crazy. All right, so I'm gonna drop that and pick up this time skip. I'm gonna use my cooldowns, put some spells on cooldown. Yeah, so I'm even gonna lust. Wait, what? I don't know why this is here. Oh, I never removed it. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, whatever. Sorry. Pardon me. Confusing myself. I'm gonna pretend, because that one exists, I'm gonna pretend that it's not there. Let's lust. Let's do Breath of Eons. Let's buff ourselves. Right. And now. Okay. I really didn't get to see if it made much of a difference to Bloodlust, which doesn't matter. You're still gonna have the 10-minute. But I did watch it. It really ticked this down. So that's an interesting spell. And then under it, choice node capstone. So time skip channels for 1 second longer. Okay. Replace time skip. The passive cooldown of your spells are reduced by 15%. That's just gonna be a math thing. That seems kind of odd. Like I'll say that I don't know enough to have a good opinion on this, but I feel like it's gonna be like one of these is just dead always, and then one of these is just you just always take it. So whatever though. Okay, so let's move back up. I've kind of checked out some stuff. Let's move back up. So this was kind of an AoE side of the tree. This I believe is gonna be more single target. Okay, so Essence Burst, that's already there. Essence Burst stacks twice. That's a really good one actually. Like these are, you would always take these. First, when casting an enemy, Living Flame strikes one additional enemy for 100% damage. That's nice. So like it's like that's cleave. Okay, so it's like a cleave situation there. Then Azure Strike has a 10% chance per target hit to echo, casting again. So AoE and cleave, and then that's so nice. I wish they would get like Devastation doesn't need it, but like that's really nice. So if you're in a cleave situation like with 2 targets, you would take this, right? And then for AoE you would take this like large AoE, probably a dungeon, right? And then you just have the option to just not take either for pure single target, right? It's really nice. Defy Fate, so it's a passive. Okay. So this is what we read in the spell book earlier. So this is a cheat death. I thought it was crazy that it was baseline, but it is not baseline. It is a talent, and this is a cheat death on a 6-minute cooldown. Reading it, the functionality is kind of confusing, but it's essentially a cheat death. Breath of Eons, of course, is right here. Underneath, and again, I'll just, because it's gorgeous, let's take a look. There's Breath of Eons, right? And then we can come back, right? And that puts our Ebon Might on our friends. It puts wounds on our targets, and it just does a bunch of awesome stuff. So right under it, Breath of Eons reduces enemy movement speed and reduces their attack speed for roughly 12 seconds. However, it's chosen Breath of Eons grants allies a shield for 100% of the damage dealt. So this is just more of a this is definitely better for PvP, like this one. Like I would probably take this for PvP, which I don't do PvP, but this, it's tough because like the shield is just so good, but maybe like for dungeons where maybe there's a lot of melee mobs like Braconite or something, and like this could potentially help your tank more. He could like kite if he is getting hit. He's getting hit less, whereas this is more like you could spec into this for like big AoE, like on Rashok right now when he does the big AoE during the intermission phase. Like this, you would rather have this, right? But interesting, good choices there, I think. That was our cheat deal. Okay, let's bump over. So while flying during Breath of Eons, 50% of the damage that you would take is instead dealt over 10 seconds. That's just a nice like kind of quality of life, like stay alive spell. Like we do, and yeah, this is actually every evoker should have this, because there's so many times when I'll place my deep breath as devastation, and then the moment I click it and start that animation, something bad pops up and I'm headed right for it. So that's actually really nice. I like that. as your strike reduces the remaining cooldown of landslide by 1 second per target hit. So this is just kind of playing into your utility. Landslide is an awesome spell, and this was really nice because it allowed it to become a stun while targets are knocked up, which you can use with your tail swipe. You can use with upheaval. You could even coordinate that with other teammates that have knockups. There's a few specs in the game that have a knockup, so that's awesome. That's just cool all around. These two. Bestow Wearnstone, by the way, just want everyone to know they named it after me right here. I didn't get the name from them, they got it from me. But anyways, Bestow Wearnstone, 1 minute cooldown, 3 second cast. You conjure a pair of Wearnstones. Oh yeah, this one's crazy. So one for your target ally and one for you. So they will get an additional spell. I don't know if this is an additional spell. Let's take a look. Let's do this. Gosh, she's gonna make me click all these. I wish there was a button where I could be like, okay, click everything else that I already picked. Boom. Okay. Yeah, let's see how what the item ends up being, whether it's a spell or an item. Whatever. I'm gonna invite you. Oh, I can't. Can I invite you? No. What is that? Four fight. Sorry. I'm trying to get this to work. No worries. Oh. Okay, so it is an item. We just confirmed that it's an item. Oh wow. That's so cool. Yo, what's the cooldown? Okay, it does have a 2 minute cooldown. That's so cool. That's so cool. Thank you so much. Anyways, let's move it on. I had to check out the functionality of that. So that. There's gonna be some really interesting things with that. So like for instance, if you could, yeah, I don't know. There's just like endless possibilities for that. You know, like you could really get creative with it. Anyways, let's move on. Here's our attunements. So these were our health buff and our speed buff. They are an actual spell. Spatial Paradox. Evoke, that's me. Evoke a paradox for you and a friendly healer, allowing casting while moving and increasing the range of most spells by 40 yards. Like they really want augmenters to play with other evokers. Like that's crazy. Affects the nearest healer if you do not have a healer. So gosh, that's really not like my evoker friend's gonna love that. I'm gonna cast. You'll want your healer. You'll want to communicate with your healer for this spell most often. But there's no problem with that. That's a really great utility spell there. And yeah, it does seem like this side of the tree is a little bit more like buff and support focused, whereas this one's a little bit more like AoE and damage focus, maybe like damage mitigation, whereas this is like damage boosting. Not so much AoE versus single target. But yeah. We looked at that one. We looked here. Okay, let's see. Aspects favor. Obsidian Scales activates Black Attunement and amplifies it to increase maximum health. Okay, wish every evoker had that. Hover activates Bronze and amplifies it to increase the movement speed. I wish. That's so nice. That's so nice. And you get 2 points to put into it. Breath of Eons, cooldown is reduced. Pretty straightforward. Symbiotic Bloom. Emerald Blossom increases target's healing received by 3% for 11 seconds. And it stacks twice, so that could be 6%. So that's like so it's one of those things, like say your group needs a little bit more healing, right, to get over the hump. You could pick up some extra healing things, perhaps, it seems. Because there was like an Emerald Blossom option. I can't remember exactly, but it was somewhere around here. I can't remember. That like increased its healing to you. Regardless, I won't go looking for it, but yeah. Cool. Ignition Rush. Essence Burst reduces the cast time of Eruption. So if you have an Essence Burst, your Disintegrate counterpart will just cast faster. That's nice. Prescience. This is where so this is this is again on like kind of the buff side of the tree, and this is the spell that I have where you're gonna want to keep this on cooldown and buff people, and it allows you to steal some of the damage from them. That's oh man, I'm so excited. What's this? So your effects that extend Ebomite also extend Symbiotic Bloom. Okay. Yeah, this is actually really interesting. Like especially early on in progression, man, that seems so nice. Wow, cool. And just, I mean, it's really situational. Like, is the tank getting screwed up a lot? You may go something over here. Maybe your tank isn't, struggling, but you need more healing just around the group. Maybe you have some weaker players, right? Like, I don't know, evokers who just tend to fall over when other people don't. So, keep your Emerald Blossom up on them. Really nice. We did look at time skip. We looked at these two. So we're down. Eruption reduces the remaining cooldown of upheaval by 1 second. So they're just assuming that you're gonna. That's kind of weird that they're like so far apart, and that eruption and upheaval are over here, but this is over here. Like I feel like these should just be swapped because of the like relevant places in the tree, but whatever. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Okay. And then Breath of Eons casts an eruption and at the first 3 targets. Okay, good to know that. Prescience has a 35% chance to grant Essence Burst. That's just really good. So does that mean when I cast it, or does that mean when one of the spells is copied? Maybe both. Who knows? Prescience grants the ally a chance for their spell and ability to echo their damage or healing, dealing 15% of the amount again. Oh. Wait, what? So what? Is that, I don't understand. Like, so if I take, let's say, let me take it, because I don't know if me taking this talent is like adjusting the tooltip for this, so let's just see. Okay, it is. Okay. That makes so much more sense. So you do actually have to talent in to being able to copy the spells from them, but that's really nice. Wow. Okay. All right, so that actually, I may stop there. There's gonna be so many other people out there that you can see, just kind of like the spell effects, and I went through some of them. Yeah, guys, I'm overall first impressions. I love it. I love it. My brain is just kind of in a kink and just knotted up at trying to figure out how the hell all of this is gonna work. But regardless, I'm a big fan of this, and I look forward to just seeing how it develops over testing and just eventually how everybody implements it. So if you have any questions or anything like that, leave them in the comments. Be sure to like the video, and I'll try to get some more Augmentation Evoker content up here soon, okay? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.